Have you ever wanted to hold a custom knife in your hand to feel and see the design language, but you didn't have the $2,000 or $3,000 it took to make it happen? How's it going, everybody? I'm Rollshambo, the connoisseur and collector of all things sharp and shiny, and today we're going to experience that. This is the Begg Knives Bodega, a production version of a custom knife, but at a affordable price, or rather a more affordable price, because good work isn't cheap and cheap work isn't good. Shout out to White Mountain Knives for sending this my way for review. I requested it. They didn't reach out. I reached out because I saw that they had them and I had to check it out. This is one that we did discuss on the live stream, and some people said yay, some people said nay, but it's here. And now we're going to discuss, is it worth it? This is the Begg Knives Bodega. Let's go. This is the Begg Knives Bodega. And first off, I gotta say the packaging on here is pretty sweet. I like the fact that it's very minimalist. Obviously, no soft shell case, whatever. I'm cool with that. If you look at the bottom, it says, because life doesn't come pre-sliced. Yeah, I agree. Life does not come pre-sliced. That's why you should always carry a knife. It is also known as rule number 9. Now on the inside, you do get a little bit of a care manual. We're going to just put that back. It says, congratulations on your new Begg knife. And yeah, it's got some information. Other than that, that's it. That's everything that's in the box. Now, this is the Begg Knives Steel Series Bodega. And on the Steel Series knives, these are all designs that stem from the Begg Knives customs, right? Like they're super high-end, expensive $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 knives. And what I've found is that when production takes a note or takes a leaf out of the book of a custom knife, good things happen. So let's see if good things happened on this one. First deployment goes. Yes, that action is perfect. It's perfect. And man, the blade shape is true to the custom Bodega. You can kind of see where the custom would have had maybe an inlay. Of course, this is G10 with what many people will consider to be way too many body screws. Personally, I think that it looks great with that many body screws. I'm not mad at it. On the backside, you do get some steel. It's kind of cyborg-esque. And then, of course, the pocket clip is almost a deep carry, but it ends in a ball bearing to help, with the deployment out of the pocket, so you're not ripping up those jeans. I mean, unless that's your thing and you like ripped jeans, I'm not here to judge. It is, in fact, a frame lock, but I actually consider this to be more of a bolster lock because you do have this G10 overlay that's going to protect you from putting too much pressure on that lock bar and keeping it nice and easy to deploy. It is, in fact, a single-sided captive pivot, and it is running on bearings. The action is really nice and smooth. And in case you were wondering, no, that fuller, that is not just for aesthetics. That fuller is 100% usable. In fact, I might venture to say that that fuller is the way to deploy this knife. I really enjoy the fact that you get these cutouts inside the fuller. That extra little bit of design quirk is really cool. Now, here's the tough part. This knife costs $120. And for some of you, that's going to be a deal breaker the moment that you find out that the blade is, in fact, D2. Yes, it's a D2 blade that costs $120. Go ahead, get out your pitchforks and hunt me down. This is still a cool knife. And here's the deal. I'm willing to bet that many of you are thinking, but why would I get this knife?
There's a ton of knives out there for 20, 30, 40 bucks with D2 steel.
Guys, I'm here to tell you that D2 steel is not all the same. Unfortunately, there was a lot of cheap fly-by-night knife makers and knife manufacturers that just didn't heat treat D2 correctly, and they sold a bunch of cheap knives, and slowly but surely it degraded the name of D2 blade steel. D2 blade steel is actually really, really decent when it's done right, and that's the caveat, right? So here's the deal. When properly heat treated between somewhere around the realm of 60 to 62 HRC, which is what it should be, that would be optimal. 60 to 62 is perfect for D2. It's going to have about the same edge retention as MagnaCut at the same HRC. I said it. If you don't believe me, feel free to go over to Laren Thomas's Knife Steel Nerds website and look at their knife steel ratings. You might be shocked what you would find. And in fact, I actually made a separate video about that. I'll link that up above in case you don't believe me. I'm not mad at D2 on this knife, and here's why. When you ask a custom maker to build a design and then make it more affordable, and they do that, what you're paying for is more than just the material makeup of the knife. To be able to get a Begg Knives design for $120, that's fantastic. And you even on this production model, which is much more affordable, I'm not going to call it cheap. $120 isn't cheap. Look at the design work. The freaking fuller has holes in it. Not only is that aesthetically pleasing, at least to me, but it also increases on the weight reduction. The extra screws adds pop and flair to the handle scales. And then you get things like this beautiful steel frame lock with the G10 overlays that are perfectly milled out. This G10 is perfectly milled out. That texture is there, but it's not obtrusive. The grip in the hand is really, really good. This is not a small knife either, guys. This knife is a full-size knife. There is, of course, no jimping on the spine of the blade, but that spine is really well polished out, and so it's actually very comfortable. The blade shape is a drop point harpoon shape, and so your thumb rests naturally right there at the end. And then, of course, you have an actual cutout that you can, in fact, trigger pull comfortably and put your finger there. It's not something that I would necessarily trust my life to, but it's comfortable and it's there and it works. And it's a cutout that you could quite obviously put, your sausage fingers in and not feel like you're about to chop them up. It's not jambalaya night, but it feels good. The ultimate design of this knife is beautiful. The pocket clip is a stamped pocket clip, but you do get that ball bearing there, which makes it a smooth in and out of the pocket kind of situation. I like how on this lock bar, you get that fuller and the holes in the fuller. And so it creates this beautiful kind of symmetry that you just don't find in a lot of knives. If I was to tell you, here's a knife with D2 blade steel, G10 handle scales, and a steel frame lock, you'd probably look at me and say, dude, that's a $50, $60, maybe $70 knife. And then you'd be outraged when I tell you, well, actually it's $120. But when you check out how cool this design is, the transition between steel and G10 is almost cybernetic. You get an almost full body length backspacer, which has jimping here right at the tang of the handle scales. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. And it's no wonder why these are already sold out at White Mountain Knives. By the way, shout out again to White Mountain Knives because they sent this my way for review upon my request. And I requested this knife because I had to see, is it worth the price tag? Is it worth it? As of right now, I can see why it costs that much. I can see it. Because even using more affordable materials like D2 and G10 and steel, the design shines through. And all of a sudden, I find myself not caring about the fact that the blade is D2 when at $120 I can get a Tucson that has titanium and N390. I think that this is a step above that. And if you've always wanted a custom knife, but never found yourself wanting to spend a couple grand on one, this is a knife that you could hold and you could see why people do. That's impressive. To be able to get this level of design work, this level of detail, the level of thought behind this knife can be felt when you handle it. All the way down to the handle skills. Look at that cutout right there. That cutout right there was meant for your thumb. They knew that's where your thumb's going to rest. Let's do extra. They knew the palm of your hand is going to go there. Let's make the sides smooth and textured in the center. They knew. Wow. And now all of a sudden I find myself wanting to check out the other Steel Series knives from Begg Knives because this is fantastic. On first glance online, the one that I was really attracted to was in fact the Astio. But after holding this one, I think that the Bodega might actually be the one. The Cyborg knife. Half steel, half G10. The flipper action is perfect. The action on this knife feels like a much more expensive knife. The fuller is usable, adds weight reduction, and looks good. This is a knife that I feel like you could show off to other knife guys. You know, if you were at a bar and like, hey, I'm a knife guy, you're a knife guy, check out what's in my pocket. This is one of those knives that's a conversation piece, but it's also ready to get the job done. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. If you liked the knife, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, boo-hoo, you know what to do. And if you want to see more content on this knife, make sure you hit subscribe and smash that notification bell. I'm Rollshambo. I'll catch you on the flip side.